We're going to try and go live quicker with the video broadcast, but typically we need we need 10 minutes between the games. So Leighton Lage being announced, 7 seniors on this squad, as we have our Cole Treat next up here as second-year varsity for Cole Treat. Cole Treat, also a baseball player. He and Larry Lage and Cole Treat's father both call their sons as freshmen during COVID, as I couldn't get out of work in time, so both Larry and Bob Treat called their games.
Let's give it up for Cole Treat!
So Cole Treat being honored as one of the seniors.
Morgan is in his 4th year in the basketball.
So Lyle being announced. Morgan Lyle, second-year varsity. As playing all 19 games, Morgan Lyle.
And passing on offense. While he's as good of a defensive guard as there is in the SEC, Mo also came up huge with a career-high 11 points in a recent win over Huron.
So 11 points in a recent win, big defensive player.
And siblings Olivia and the big skinny Connor. Let's give it up for Morgan Lyle.
Let's see if they're doing a great job announcing these.
Next up is Carson Strauss.
Carson Strauss, senior. He's out there with his father, mother, and sister. 4th year with the basketball program, 2nd year on varsity. He's been really good off the bench. Done a fantastic job.
His steady effort and leadership have been invaluable while being the team's 2nd leading offensive rebounder.
Second best offensive rebounder with the team. He had 13 points over Skyline career high. So big round of applause for Carson Strauss.
And next up is Tyler Mutinda.
Tyler Mutinda being announced. 4th year with the basketball program, 2nd year on varsity. He has continued to evolve as a great basketball player all his 4 years.
Scoring in double figures in 13 of 19 games.
Scoring in double figures, 13 of 19 games.
Versus Ferndale on Saturday.
He had 27 points versus Ferndale on Saturday.
Rebounds and a big win over Lincoln, and is currently mulling over several opportunities to continue his basketball career.
And we are looking forward to wherever he chooses to go next.
Said his favorite part of Pioneer basketball was asking Coach Marion about former players. Let's give it up for
his favorite part, asking Coach Marion about former players. Mutinda.
And his wonderful family.
Next up,
Friesler.
Nate Freisteller coming out. Nate comes out, 4th year with the basketball team, 3rd year on varsity. As he has been fantastic over his league. 1st team All-SEC last season. 13 points a game leading scorer, Nate Freisteller. He has 4 double-doubles this season.
11 rebounds and a win at Huron earlier this season. One of 2 senior captains.
He is one of the senior captains.
Catalyst for Pioneer success this year. Nate is also considering several opportunities to continue his
as he's looking at where he wants to play next season.
and his mom Jenny. Let's give it up for Dave
Nate Freisteller. And last but not least, Nelson Sampa. Senior captain. 4th year with the basketball program. He was playing with Treat and Lage on the freshman team 4 years ago. He's a fantastic guard. He's the team's leader in assists. Leader in steals as well. 41% from the three-point line.
Nelson recently recorded a career-high 12 assists versus Ferndale.
He had 12 assists versus Ferndale.
6 a.m. workouts and hang out with the guys in the locker room before school. Nelson is joined by Bendo Sampa, Tisa Sampa, Miriam Ahmad, and Sarah Ladd.
And joined by a number of family. Great senior class here. As it has been a fantastic year, a privilege to get to watch a lot of these players play all 4 years, get to see them come in as freshmen and really grow their games, and it's been a joy. It's always a bittersweet moment, as it's fantastic to celebrate the careers of these amazing players, and hopefully we'll get to see a couple of them play spring sports as well. But bittersweet to know that we're not going to get to see them playing in their Pioneer jerseys much longer, but we know they have a bright future ahead of them. We are joined by Coach Aaron. Coach Aaron, how you doing today?
Very good. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. Always good to be here at the gym watching a little basketball. Can't complain.
Yeah, this is the time of year.
Absolutely. It is getting big. We know that now that Pioneer, they have one more game on the road versus Arbor Prep, but then on the 28th, they will open up the playoffs at Huron, 7 p.m. game, playing the winner of Jackson versus Skyline. So Jackson Skyline plays on the 26th. Pioneer will play on the 28th at Huron. Huron will play a game before that at 5:30. So both Huron and Pioneer get the bye to the 28th. So I just want to make sure, again, tickets can be bought via, I had that right out here, so no cash. Those tickets can be bought by gofan. I believe that's .com. So check that out. You can also get them at the door. I know you were talking to, trying to talk to the coaches and get some items there. What do you have for us before this game here, Coach?
I did not get a chance to talk to Coach Marion. Very busy because of senior night.
Senior night, absolutely.
But I do have some notes on the team for tonight. We all know there's 7 seniors, and that's always a special event, not for only the players, but the coaching staff and the school and parents.
Absolutely.
And as you mentioned, there'll be at least one more game, but it's the last game on the home court. And speaking of home court, thus far this season, Pioneers 8-1, so that's a good statistic to have here.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I checked out some of the rankings statewide, and Max Prep has Pioneer ranked 20th in the state, and that's
nice.
All divisions.
Nice.
And the Michigan High School Athletic Association has Pioneer ranked 23rd, and the Detroit area Pioneers ranked number 13.
Nice. It's good to see him getting some respect. I know it's been Huron's league for a long time, for a few years, so it's been a great season for Pioneer, and it's good to see him in those rankings and getting that credit there.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. I did have several minutes to talk to Coach Larry Middleton, a native of Monroe.
Indeed.
Said he's been there for 43 years. He's been in the high school program about 7. His assistant is Ernie Sellers, alumni of Pioneer.
Gotta love when that happens.
So he's back home. He's been coaching basketball for 39 years. Matter of fact, he coached Coach Middleton.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that's always good. It's like a lot of times in a lot of schools, it's a family affair in the coaching staffs in different sports.
Indeed.
I talked to Coach about tonight's game, and he's really concerned with Freistetler. He says we gotta defend the big, we gotta play well in the paint, and at the same time take away their 3-point field goal shot. So he's worried about inside and outside, and against a good team like Pioneer, he knows he has to keep turnovers to a minimum. He has 3 guys that are not dressed tonight. One is number 2, Deshaun Richardson. Number 3, Carlos Perry is not playing. And number 13, Weston Fraser, is not dressing tonight.
Gotcha.
He told me Lucas Johnson, number 5, he's a 6'3" senior, is their leading scorer. He averages 17 points per game. And we should be aware of number 11, Lucas Zeppa. You do not pronounce the R.
Yep.
A 6'1 senior is a 3-point threat. Like to get him out to a good start. And number 13, Weston Fraser, is not playing tonight. And he said the leading rebounder, Tegan Simmons, 23, the 6'3 junior, leads the team with about an 8-point average, but Lucas Johnson is close behind him with 7.8 rebounds per game.
Nice.
So it's a senior team, too. They got 6 seniors. Pioneer has 7. And should be noted that Monroe's coming in here with a 4-game winning streak. So they have some momentum.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pioneer 14-5, Monroe 7-12. But again, as you said, yeah, they 4-game winning streak coming. Their last loss was back to Saline back on the 6th, and they've won several in a row there. So absolutely.
And the last time they played Pioneer was January 26, and Monroe lost 70-26.
Indeed. So we'll see. Obviously, Monroe's going to try and make a bit more competitive game. Pioneer would love to cruise on senior night and just make sure they can get everyone involved. What's the most number of seniors you've ever had on a basketball team, if you remember?
Gee, I'm going to just guess 7 or 8, and usually I'm one of these kind of coaches that I'm always building for the future.
Absolutely.
So I like to have juniors and sophomores, and on a rare occasion a freshman that play. I'm one of these coaches. I play 8 most years.
Sure. Yeah.
8 players on my roster will get a lot of minutes. You know, there's been years where we're low on talent, might be 7 or 9, but I like full court defense, so we're running the floor. So I like to have some depth. But yeah, that's a lot of seniors, and that's a sign of 7 kids that stuck it all the way through. It sounds like all of them played 4 years, and that doesn't happen that often these days.
Not at all. Not at all. Everyone, there's lots of things to compete with folks' attention and lots of things to do in the area, different clubs, and also it's great to see them continue on and get a lot of them with all 4 years. And getting to see him grow up and get better has been just a privilege to get to see. So, as far as it goes, Monroe trying to compete. What do you do when you got beat pretty bad the last time? What do you do as a team to keep the team motivated, and not let them kind of think back to that last game and beat themselves coming in? Because it's you got to wipe that away somehow and just focus on today's game.
Well, I don't know how Coach Middleton does it. He might have pointed out 1 or 2 things they did very poorly that night.
Sure.
Just for example, rebounding. Well, he did mention rebound, so I'm sure that is one of them that they must do much better rebounding.
Yeah.
But, hey, he's talking positively a 4-game winning streak.
Absolutely.
That's not only momentum, that's giving his players confidence.
Yes.
And he knows it's important to get out to a good start in both halves. A little shorthanded with those 3 guys out.
Sure.
But that's part of basketball life. You adjust accordingly, and players got to step up and sometimes take on a new role.
Absolutely. That's where you can find your next superstar, someone filling in and taking that role and really living up to it. So, Pioneer is in their home whites with the purple numbering on the back, block lettering Pioneer on the front, and the purple piping down the sides. Monroe in their red jerseys with black out there. I can't quite see the numbers, but I believe they are in white on the back with the white piping. As we are counting down, 7 minutes and 10 seconds left to go. Let's play just a couple messages from the MHSAA, and we will talk about a few more things and be right back with the opening tip-off. You are watching Pioneer Men's Varsity Basketball on Senior Night, and it's Pioneer versus Monroe.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Sportsmanship has never been more important between the lines in athletics and outside those lines in our communities. To listen, to respect, to understand, to practice common decency, to have competition without contentiousness. Sportsmanlike qualities are essential components of life itself. Let's all work together to not only be good sports, but good people. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle, and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
As we are here at Pioneer's main gym for Pioneer versus Monroe, big SEC red matchup against 7 seniors: Weil, Treat, Freisteller, Sampa, Mutinda, Strauss, and Lage. Any other notes you had coming into this game, Coach?
Yeah, I could go back to the prep rankings. I did a quick look, and it's no coincidence. And all 3 of them, the number 1 team ranked in the state is Orchard Lake St. Mary's Prep. They're 21-1.
Indeed.
InMax Prep Huron is ranked number 8. They're 17-3. 16th is Saline, 16-4, which is going on and might be tipped off right now.
Indeed.
That's in Saline. That's probably the biggest game in the area.
Absolutely.
And in my opinion, that one could go either way. A little bit of an edge having the home court advantage for Saline.
Yeah, definitely.
In the Michigan High School Athletic Association, Huron is ranked 16th and Pioneer is 23rd. And as I said earlier, Detroit, Pioneer is 13th. And 6th is Huron, 11th is Saline, and Chelsea is 14th at 14-5.
So that SEC really well represented in those rankings, and it is a really, really good conference this season. So
yeah, it's balanced.
Absolutely,
it is
absolutely.
very balanced by more than 2 or 3 teams. Also, I did toe-to-toe analysis with scoring and defense for both teams.
Yeah.
Pioneer is averaging not quite 60 a game. They're at 59.7, and that breaks down to 14.9 a quarter, so 15 a quarter, and that's pretty good.
Indeed.
Pioneer was giving up first half of the season about 11 a quarter. That's went up a little. They're averaging giving 12 per quarter, but 48.2 per game. Monroe does not score that much, about 12 less. They average 47.6 per game. That comes out to 11.9 per quarter.
Sure.
And Monroe averages given up 53.9, which comes out to 13.4 points per quarter. So offensively and defensively, Pioneer has an edge. They score more. They play a little better defense. But sometimes these numbers mean nothing.
Absolutely. Hey, you get a conference game, and sometimes, especially on a night like senior night, sometimes you get a little distracted with everything else going on, and all of a sudden you're in a battle, and you can't take anyone lightly. So.
Yeah. And another thing about senior night is I always started if I had 5 seniors, I started 5 seniors, and I try to give them as many minutes as possible.
Indeed.
But some nights it can be easy, some nights that can be challenging, but you want to get them out on the court as much as possible and still win the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, with 7 seniors, it might be a little bit of a something that's tough, but a lot of them get a lot of playing time anyway. So, we'll be able to get them in and out there. As it should be a good matchup, about 1 minute and 12 seconds counting down. We'll have the national anthem and the starting lineups coming up on senior night. Again, they do have one more away game that's going to be at Ypsi Arbor Prep on the 22nd. Ypsi Arbor Prep 11-9, Pioneer 14-5. That's a 7 p.m. game if you want to get out to Ypsi Arbor Prep. So we do have that. We also have coming up the women's playoffs, as I did not realize that they had a rescheduled game yesterday. I should have looked at that. Otherwise, we would have been here. But for the girls' brackets, or the ladies' brackets, this will be Pioneer will be playing Huron on the 6th of March. So they both get a bye. Skyline and Jackson play on the 3rd. All that's going to be at Dexter. So on the 6th, Dexter plays the winner of Skyline Jackson, and Pioneer plays Huron. So that'll probably be a 7 o'clock game for Pioneer and Huron there at Dexter. So the men's district is at Huron. The women's district is at Dexter. So we'll see what happens there, and we're getting ready for the national anthem. So we will turn that over to Honor America, the playing of the national anthem. As we're about to get underway, starting lineups coming up next. John is over on the mic across the way, so we'll give you your starting lineups. Again, probably senior laden starting lineups for Pioneer.
Pioneer High School, its athletics department, and its men's basketball program are pleased to welcome the players, coaches, parents, students, alumni, and fans of the Monroe Trojans to tonight's game against your Ann Arbor Pioneer Pioneers. Let's meet the starting lineup first for Monroe. Number 5, senior forward Lucas Johnson.
Johnson starting for Monroe.
For Pioneer, number 22, senior forward Carson Strauss.
Strauss getting the starting nod for Pioneer.
For Monroe, number 15, senior forward Adam Nabozny.
As Nabozny being announced as a starter.
Senior center, it's Tyler Mutinda.
Mutinda starting for Pioneer.
For Monroe, number 23, junior forward Tegan Simmons.
Simmons being announced for Monroe.
For Pioneer, number 0, a senior, a guard, it's Morgan Lyle.
Lyle starting for Pioneer.
For the Trojans, number 11, senior guard Lucas Zeppa.
Zeppa being announced for Monroe.
For Pioneer, number 3, senior guard Cole Treat.
Treats being announced for Pioneer.
And for Monroe, number 32, senior guard Logan Loveland.
Loveland being announced for Monroe.
Pioneer, number 23, a senior guard Leighton Lay.
And Leighton Lage is your other starter for Pioneer. As again, Larry Milton, head coach for Monroe, Rich Marion for Pioneer, and then you had the officials' names there, I believe.
Yep. Tonight we have 3 more veterans. Aaron Scott, Sean Dinkfeld, who has 31 years of experience.
Wow.
Abasai Sanders has been officiating in Southeast Michigan for 21 years.
That's awesome. As that's back, Lyle will let it go, and that will be, looks like that's going to be Monroe ball. As picking it up back there, Johnson to inbound, baseline right, 7:57 left to go. The officials talking things over. So I think Lyle let it go because he thought Monroe touched it last, but Pioneer touched it last. So Johnson to inbound, baseline right, 7:57 left to go. So we're about to get underway here as we just went past the opening tip. Johnson gets that into Zeppa. Zeppa puts it up, pulled down by Mutinda. Pioneer with the ball. Lyle brings it ahead. Lyle over half court. Lyle on the far wing. Lyle comes top of the key. Lyle coming down into the paint. That tipped away and knocked away out there by Simmons. Out of bounds off of Monroe. Pioneer with the ball. 7:43 left to go.
Foul is on Lucas Johnson, his first, team first.
That's a foul on Johnson. So Johnson picks up his first foul. That's going to put Lyle to the line in the act of shooting. Lyle dribbles the ball, eyes the rim, puts it up, puts it in, nothing but net on that one. Lyle has the first points of the game. He has 1, trying to make it 2. That up and in, nothing but net on both of those. Pioneer 2, Monroe nothing as Monroe brings it ahead. Zeppa with it. Zeppa over half court. Bounce pass over on the far sideline to Simmons. Simmons moves it back over to Johnson. Johnson being worked on by Lyle. Now work his way around is Zeppa. Zeppa loses it. Lyle on top of him. Zeppa bounce pass stolen away as Lyle has it. Gets it over to Mutinda in the paint. Trying to move it over to Treat. And knocked away. Pioneer ball, Lyle to inbound, baseline left, 7:20 left to go. Pioneer up, 2-0. Treat has it on the far sideline. Treat steps back, moves over to Lage on the near wing. Lage hands it off to Lyle. Lyle, top of the key. Lyle back to Lage. Lage works his way around, bounce pass into the paint, over to Strauss. Strauss back to Lage on the far wing, over to Treat on the near wing. Treat gets it, Treat into the near corner, gets it back to Strauss in the paint. Strauss puts out the hook and in. Strauss with 2 points, and it's 4-0. 6:53 left to go here. As Monroe has it, Loveland moves it over, grabbed by Johnson. Johnson working against Lyle. Johnson shot from the free throw line, that up and in. Johnson with 2 points, and it's 4-2. Pioneer with the lead. Lyle has it for Pioneer into the near corner. Working his way around his Lage. Lage gets it to Treat, back to Lage in the near corner. Lage over to Mutinda. Mutinda working down the baseline, back to Lage. Lage for 3. Lage off the side, off the rim, off the glass, pulled down by Monroe. Bringing ahead is Loveland over half court. Pioneer with the 2-point lead. Loveland moves it over on the near wing, over to Nabozny. Nabozny dribbles to his right, gets it back over to Loveland. Loveland works his way around the arc. Loveland has Treat in front of him. Loveland on the blockades. Loveland now on the far sideline. Loveland picked up the dribble, gets it back over to Zeppa. Zeppa top of the key. Zeppa into the near corner. Zeppa bounce pass, that shot by Nabozny off the rim, off the glass, down the far sideline. Treat has it for Pioneer. Pioneer brings it ahead. Lyle on the near wing. Bounce pass to Mutinda. Pioneer up 4-2. And off the rim, Mutinda puts it up again. Still wouldn't go. Rebound there by Johnson. Johnson brings it ahead for Monroe. Monroe down by 2. Johnson on the near wing. Johnson thought about handing it off to Zeppa. Now bounce pass. Back over with it is Loveland. Loveland on the near wing. Loveland Working against Treat, gets it over to Zeppa. Zeppa down the far sideline. Zeppa spins with it at the far as that knocked away by Treat, but a foul. Treat will pick up his first foul. First on Pioneer, one foul on both teams. Monroe to inbound on the far sideline. Johnson to inbound. Johnson gets that into Simmons. Simmons, bounce pass. That's stolen away. Treat trying to move it. That grabbed as underneath. That shot just a little too strong. Strauss trying to get to it. Strauss and Simmons got tangled up. That's going to be Pioneer's ball on the near sideline. 5:04 left to go. 4-2. As it's been a lot more defense than offense, starting off early with 5 minutes left to go. Strauss has it on the near wing. Strauss gets it to Mutinda, top of the key. Now over to Treat on the far sideline. Treat. Over to Lage. Lage, top of the key, down the far side of the paint. Lage with the finger roll up and in. Leighton Lage has his first points of the game. It's 6-2. Pioneer with the lead. 4:40 left to go here in the first. Over half court is Loveland for Monroe. Loveland down the far sideline. Now dishes it off into the far corner for Johnson. Johnson back to Loveland. Loveland just inside of half court. Loveland over on the near wing to Zeppa. Zeppa, top of the key, spins with it there. Zeppa. And on the near sideline, bounce pass over to Loveland. Loveland just inside of half court. Loveland hands it off to Zeppa. Zeppa on the blockades, comes over on the far sideline, hands it off to Johnson. Johnson, top of the key. Johnson, shot from the free throw line. That off the rim to the far side, picked up by Lyle. Here comes Pioneer, up by 4. Lyle over to Lage on the near wing. Lage back to Lyle, top of the key. Now Strauss on the near wing. Strauss comes down into the paint, puts up the hook. That rattles around and in. Strauss with 4 points, and it's 8-2. Pioneer with the 6-point lead. 3:40 left to go here in the first. As Loveland brings ahead for Monroe over half court. Gets it over to Johnson, top of the key. Johnson working against Lage. Johnson. And double team kicks it off. That's Zeppa for 3. Rattles off, picked up by Lage. Lage over to Lyle. Lyle over half court for Pioneer. Lyle working against Zeppa. Over to Strauss, top of the key. Strauss in the far wing. Over to Treat. Treat gets it back to Lage. Lage, top of the key. Lage calls for a screen from Mutinda. Now Lage over to Lyle on the near wing. Lyle races towards the paint. That tipped away. Here comes Monroe the other direction. Loveland with it over half court. Gets it over into the near corner. Underneath, trying to move that into Nabozny. There's a whistle underneath. Johnson inbound. Baseline right for Monroe. That over to Zeppa. Zeppa with a quick shot. That rims out. Looked like it was going down, but popped right out. Lyle for Pioneer the other direction. Lyle gets it over to Strauss on the far wing. Strauss works his way to the far elbow now. Strauss, bounce pass over to Lyle. Lyle down to his knees, pops back up. Good job recovering over to Treat on the near sideline. Treat into the paint. Treat puts up the hook. That just off the front of the rim. Hit the front, the back of the rim. Foul underneath. Treat picks up his foul. It's his second foul. As it's 8-2, 6-point lead for Pioneer. Bringing it ahead is Loveland. Loveland over half court. Loveland picked up there by Treat. Moves it over. That tipped, and Zeppa able to keep it in bounds somehow. It was athleticism there. Zeppa has it at the blockades. Gets a screen from Loveland. Bounce pass, top of the key. Now racing down Johnson into the paint. Finger roll up and in. Johnson has 4 points, and it's 8-4. Pioneer with the lead. Strauss in the front court. Moves over on the far sideline for Treat. Now working his way in. Mutinda into the paint. Dishes off. Lyle for 3. Lyle, that off. Tipped back by Strauss, but grabbed. Here comes Zeppa. Zeppa for Monroe over half court. Monroe down by 4. Zeppa skies it underneath. Right in the paint, put up, rolls around and in for Simmons. Simmons with his first points of the game. It's a 2-point game, 8-6. Lyle over to Strauss. Strauss back to Lyle on the far sideline for Pioneers. Screen from Mutinda. Lyle down the baseline into the near corner for Treat. Treat into the paint. Over to Lage. That block. Racing back as Zeppa got the block, but Treat gets the loose ball. Gets it over to Mutinda. Into the paint as that think was tipped away. Foul underneath. 1 minute, 20 seconds left to go.
Johnson picks up his second foul.
Johnson with the foul. What are your thoughts so far on a bit of a defensive battle so far, Coach?
This Pioneer lineup is some new faces in the lineup, and they held Monroe to 2 points for the first 5 minutes and 48 seconds.
Absolutely.
Coach Marion's got to be pleased with the defense.
First shot up and good by Mutinda. Absolutely good defensive game. And now Freisteller comes in as Treat and Lage get a breather. And Sampa and Freisteller in. Mutinda with another shot. So now you have your standard 5 players who get a lot of playing time here for the team. That pulled down. That one not good as Collette with the rebound. Monroe with the ball, bringing it ahead. Over half court is Loveland. Loveland picked up by Lyle there. Loveland working his way just inside of half court. Lyle comes down the far sideline. Bounce pass. That right off of a foot picked up. Here comes Strauss the other direction for Pioneers. Strauss over to Freisteller on the near wing. Freisteller all the way across over to Lyle on the far sideline. Back to Sampa. Sampa gets a screen from Mutinda, top of the key. Sampa moves it over to Lyle. Lyle back to Sampa, top of the key. Sampa underneath the Freisteller, up and in. Will it count?
Boy, that was a heck of a pass from Sampa. He found Freisteller down there low, and that ball went between 2 defenders.
Collette with his first basket did not count. But indeed, a beautiful pass by Sampa. Sampa gets it underneath. That put up by Strauss, and a little strong, but a whistle and a push from behind. Let's go. So Nabozny picks up his first foul. That is going to put Strauss to the line, shooting 2, trying to give Pioneer, can get them up to a 6-point lead. First one is up and good for Strauss. Strauss has 5 points, trying to make it 6. 6-point lead, now trying to make it 7. Off the back of the rim, pulled down by Mutinda. Now Sampa has it. Good rebound on a up and in by Freisteller. Freisteller gets it in the paint, puts it up and in. Assist to Sampa, and it's 14-6. And now Monroe wants to talk things over as Pioneer seems to be feeling it. They have it all the way out to a 8-point lead.
I'm sure Coach Middleton wants to use these 36 seconds. He'd love to get 2 more points and shut out Pioneer these last 36 seconds.
Indeed.
Just want to reiterate, I'm impressed with Pioneer's defense with that different lineup and holding them to 2 points for almost 6 minutes.
Absolutely. It's a very good defensive play, and both Weil and Treat, who do get some minutes, but not a lot of minutes, really acquitted themselves very well and really locked things down. See what happens with 36.9 seconds left to go. 12-6. Pioneer with the 6-point lead. 2 fouls for Pioneer, 4 for Monroe. So if Monroe commits another foul, Pioneer will be at the line, but of course that'll reset at the next quarter. And all the way ahead, over half court for Collette. Collette for Monroe, trying to get it over top of the key. Now moved over to Zeppa. Zeppa works his way, spins on the near wing. Zeppa into the near corner, bounce pass. Trying to move that over to Simmons, knocked away. Freisteller with it. Freisteller coming ahead with it. Freisteller over half court for Pioneer. Freisteller over to Sampa. Sampa pulling out signals. 7 seconds left to go. 5 seconds left to go. Sampa still with it. 4 seconds left to go. Sampa puts up a 3-pointer off the back of the rim. Couldn't go, but Mutinda gave him a screen to get a good look. And so it's 12-6 at the end of 1. Pioneer with the 6-point lead.
Looking at the numbers, Monroe averages 12. They're about half of their normal offensive production.
Indeed.
And at the defensive end, they average giving up 13.4, so a little better than their average, keeping Pioneer to 12. On the other side, as I mentioned in the pregame, Pioneer averages almost 15. They're a little low at 12, so they're about 3 below average.
Indeed.
Defensively, they average giving up 12. Well, they've kept them to half of that.
Absolutely.
So good defense for both teams. I think Monroe's got to probably tighten up their defense in the paint and slow Pioneer down there. The aggressive play of the defense for Pioneer, I think, has been the difference.
Indeed. Powell and Harrison now in for Pioneer. Freisteller to inbound. Right in front of us. 8 minutes left to go here in the second, as we're just going into the second. So Freisteller inbounds to Sampa. Sampa over half court. Sampa coming down on the far sideline. Sampa over on the near wing to Harrison. Harrison gets it to Freisteller. Freisteller top of the key. Freisteller hands it off to Harrison. Harrison on the far wing. Harrison looks over to his right, gets it over to Strauss. Strauss on the far sideline into the far corner. Strauss into the paint. Now dishes it off. Powell for three. That off the rim wouldn't go. Rebound by Monroe as that's grabbed by Collette. Collette ahead. Now here comes Loveland for Monroe over half court. Pioneer up by 6. Loveland coming on to the far wing. Harrison picks him up there. Loveland dishes it off over to Collette. Collette top of the key now over on the near wing to Nabozny. Nabozny back over to Collette. Collette back on the near wing to Nabozny. Nabozny dribbles into the near corner down the baseline. Nabozny gets it back over to Loveland. Loveland dishes it off to Zeppa. Zeppa just on the blockades. Now over on the far sideline. Zeppa skies it. That to Collette on the far side of the paint. Collette trying to put it up. That a little short. Rebound by Nabozny. Whistle underneath. Harrison picks up his first foul, and that's the first on either team this quarter. Nabozny to inbound baseline ref. Nabozny, or baseline right, excuse me. Nabozny gets it over to Zeppa. Zeppa comes to the free throw line. Bounce pass over to Collette. Collette back over to Zeppa. Zeppa in the far corner. Zeppa watched by Strauss. Zeppa down the baseline. Now bounce pass back over to Loveland. Loveland on the far sideline. Loveland comes back over to Nabozny. Nabozny hands it off to Zeppa on the far sideline. Zeppa being watched by Strauss. 6:33 left to go here before halftime. Top of the key for Simmons. Simmons bounce pass over to Collette. Collette spinning with it on the far side of the paint. Collette moves it back to Zeppa on the near wing. Zeppa into the near corner. Gets it back as Loveland dishes it back off to Zeppa. Zeppa just inside of half court. Simmons trying to provide a screen for Zeppa. 6:12 left to go. Into the near corner for Loveland. Loveland back to Zeppa on the near wing. Pioneer trying to keep him out of the paint as Zeppa on the baseline back over to Loveland on the near wing. Harrison watching Loveland. Loveland steps back just inside of half court. That went off of a shin back into the near corner. Zeppa with it there. Zeppa trying to bounce it. That's stolen away by Freisteller. Here comes Sampa the other direction. Sampa over midcourt. Sampa on the far wing. Into Powell in the far corner. Powell back to Sampa. Now over to Strauss on the near wing. Harrison has it. Works his way around the arc to the top of the key. Harrison into the paint. Now over to Powell in the near corner. Powell trying to work his way down the baseline. Over to Strauss. Now Sampa has it top of the key. Screen from Strauss. Sampa on the far wing. Back over to Powell on the near wing. Powell down the paint. Into the big trees. That tipped away out of bounds. Pioneer ball with 5:20 left to go. Substitution. Nabozny goes out. Johnson back in for Monroe. Sampa to inbound baseline left. Powell puts up a three-pointer. That high off the rim. Pulled down by Freisteller. Here comes Harrison for three. Harrison that off the back of the rim. Pulled down by Monroe. 5:11 left to go. Bringing it in for Monroe is Johnson. Johnson on the far, right at the top of the key. Moves it back over to Loveland. Loveland gets it over to Johnson. Johnson watched by Powell. Screen provided by Simmons. Now Simmons puts it up from the paint. That over off to the far side. Rebound by Freisteller. Here comes Sampa for Pioneer. Harrison down the baseline. Harrison now spins back, gets it to Freisteller. Top of the key. Freisteller into the paint, puts it up off glass. Would not go, but a whistle underneath. 4:41 left to go. That is going to be on Collette. That's his second foul. We have yet to have, we're almost 3 minutes and 19 seconds in. We don't have a point yet in the second. There's one. Freisteller puts it in, but a good defense by both teams so far.
Yeah, yep. It's picking up where they left off from the first quarter.
Lee comes in. Strauss gets a breather for Pioneers. Freisteller with his second Opportunity from the line. He drains them both. Freistiller with 4 points. And it's 14-6. Pioneer with the lead. Collette quickly ahead for Monroe. Over to Zeppa. Zeppa back over on the near wing to Johnson. Johnson trying to get it over to Collette. That right to Coach's father, as a matter of fact. Coach Marion's father right in the first row. He gets a little wonderful comment from Karsh and comes over.
Should we give him an assist on the stat sheet?
Absolutely. Sampa gets over to Lee on the far sideline. Powell over to Freistiller on the near wing. 4:20 left to go. There's Powell for 3. That one off the back of the rim. Three-pointing hasn't quite found its range for Pioneer. Zeppa has it on the far sideline. Sampa watching him. Zeppa just inside of half court. Gets it over to Johnson. Johnson working against Powell. Now over on the far wing. Gets it over to McQuaid. Now back to Zeppa. Now there's a shot from the 3 by Johnson. Johnson gets his own rebound. Now over to Simmons on the near side of the paint. Simmons trying to get past Freistiller all the way over onto the far side. McQuaid puts it up and in for 3. McQuaid. It's 3 points, and it's now 14-9. 5-point lead by Pioneer with 3:35 left to go before halftime. Harrison underneath, beautiful pass to Powell as he found a cutting Powell who put it up. 2 points for Powell. Good assist for Harrison. 3:25 left to go here in the second. 16-9. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe with the ball. Collette has it. Now Zeppa with it. Zeppa back over on the far sideline. Collette has it down into the paint, puts it up, and a whistle underneath. That will be in the act of shooting, so that will put Collette to the line. Powell picks up the foul. 3:10 left to go. Collette bends the knees, eyes the rim, puts it up. That off the front. The back of the rim falls in. Touched about every part of the rim beforehand. Doesn't matter so long as it goes down. Mutinda in, as well as Strauss for Pioneer. So you have Freistiller, Harrison, Strauss, Mutinda, and Sampa in there for Pioneer. Collette with his second opportunity from the line. That one rims out, pulled down by Strauss. 3:08 left to go. Pioneer with the ball and the lead by 6. Sampa with it. Over to Strauss, back to Sampa on the far sideline. Sampa spinning with it down the baseline. Dishes off to Strauss, who puts it up and in. Beautiful pass by Sampa. Strauss in good position to put it in. Strauss with 7 points, and it's back to an 8-point lead, 18-10. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe with the ball. Johnson with it on the far sideline. Over to Zeppa. Zeppa over to back to Johnson on that far sideline. Johnson down the baseline, blocked by Mutinda. Picked up by Strauss. Here comes Pioneer the other direction. Strauss over half court. Strauss over to Sampa on the far sideline. Sampa bounce pass to Mutinda. Works his way into the paint. But that is going to be a whistle. A charge called. Mutinda picks up the charge. And at 2:28 left to go. 18-10. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe with the ball. Nabozny to inbound. Baseline left. Gets into Zeppa. Zeppa brings it ahead. Sampa picks him up before half court. Zeppa on the far sideline. Over to Collette. Collette right in front of Coach Marion. Johnson top of the key for Monroe. Now Zeppa for 3. That off the rim. Pulled down. Harrison has it. Contact as he went to get that ball. That's going to be a foul. Nabozny picks up his second foul. Sampa for Pioneer over half court. Sampa gets over to Harrison. Now Strauss, top of the key. Strauss works his way. Gets over to Freistiller. Oh, that rolls off the back of the rim. Pulled down. Here comes Monroe the other direction. 18-10. Pioneer with the lead. Johnson has the ball on the far sideline. Over to Zeppa. Zeppa for 3. That off the rim. Pulled down by Nabozny. Nabozny gets it back over to McQuaid. McQuaid over into the near corner. Nabozny down the baseline. Nabozny kicks out to Zeppa. Zeppa works his way, spins into the paint. Zeppa puts it up off glass and in. As Zeppa now has his first points, he has 2. 18-12. Pioneer with the lead in the ball. Harrison has it on the near wing. Gets it underneath the Strauss. Beautiful cutting pass. Little too strong as Mutinda tried to get it. Pulled away by Johnson. Monroe the other direction. Johnson into the paint. Up off the glass and in. Johnson has 6 points, and it's now a 4-point game, 18-14. Pioneer has the ball. Sampa over half court. Sampa on the near wing. Sampa, top of the key, now comes over on the far wing. Gets it over to Freisteller on the far sideline. Back to Sampa. Now Strauss into Harrison on the near wing. Into Mutinda in the paint. Mutinda kicks it out to Sampa. Sampa puts up the three. Off the rim. Pulled down as that's grabbed by McQuaid. 46 seconds left to go before halftime. As that, Zeppa gets it over to Johnson. Johnson just inside of half court. 4-point game, 18-4. Now Johnson coming down the far sideline. Strauss watching him. That kicked off into the paint, put up by Nabozny. That falls short and moved over to Sampa. Pioneer with it over half court. Sampa into the far corner. Sampa on that far sideline. Bounce pass, trying to get it to Mutinda down the baseline. That out of bounds will be Pioneer's ball with 16.8 seconds left to go. So Pioneer with only 6 points in this quarter. 8 points for Monroe. They've made it a 4-point game. Strauss into the near corner. Freisteller for three, and he hits it. Freisteller gets three. He has 7 points. 7 seconds left. Monroe with it. As that put up off the back of the rim, pulled down by Sampa. 1 second left to go, and he can't get his shot off. But it's 21-14 as a Pioneer with a 7-point lead. They end up with a 6-point lead at the end of the first. So with that three-pointer, Pioneer ends up scoring more than Monroe in that second. Taking a look, it's Freisteller with 7 points, Strauss with 7 points, 2 for Lage, 2 for Lyle, 2 for Powell, 1 for Mutinda. On the other side, it's 6 for Johnson, 3 for McQuaid, 2 for Zeppa, 2 for Simmons, and 1 for Collette. What are your thoughts on that first half, Coach?
Well, it's a defensive battle for sure. I did not expect the scoring to be that low. But both teams are playing good defense and starting to notice some things in the paint. And 0 for Monroe. Tanner Collette, who's a 6'2" sophomore, has been matched up with Mutinda most of the time in the last 3 or 4 minutes. And they're really banging at it and going at it. Mutinda has a little size advantage.
Indeed.
But I like to watch the low post players and the bigs in the paint.
Yeah.
And both players are playing good, clean basketball and trying to gain an advantage any way that they can.
Indeed.
Monroe, that second quarter, a few times really slowed it down, and I counted one possession, 14 passes.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, it turned into a turnover. And that may be what they will do coming out, is try to slow the game down a little bit and make that an extra pass or two and try to get a good percentage shot that way. Pioneers playing man-to-man like they always do. And I heard Coach Marion yelling out no middle. I assume that means we got to play defense in that paint and keep them out of that paint. Several times Monroe's got in with dribble penetration and got shots off. They just didn't fall. But we can look at those statistics right now in the paint for the first half. Pioneer and Monroe are balanced. They both have scored 10 and a point in the paint, and total rebounds, Pioneers edged them 14-11. Turnovers, this has hurt Monroe a little bit. They have 6, and Pioneer only has 2. That's a good stat. 3-point field goals, Pioneer just has 1, and Monroe just has 1.
It seemed like Pioneer was fairly free shooting those early, and they just weren't falling. They were like 1 for 4 originally, and maybe getting that one by Freisteller gets that 3-point going. But that seemed like something that every once in a while you got your 3-point shooters. It takes them a little bit to shoot into that. So
and and it's not always the shooter himself that has to make it. When they see a teammate knock down one or two, that gives them some confidence, just the visual.
Absolutely.
So I know a lot of shooting coaches emphasize, especially on free throw shooting, is when they're given the ball, they visualize the ball going through the rim.
Sure.
Before they actually go into their actual mechanics of that shot.
That makes a lot of sense. I know it's something I definitely heard about goalies sitting there before a game and really like imagining and envisioning stopping all the shots and getting that in their mind before they ever hit the ice. And yeah, I don't see why envisioning it going in wouldn't be a good thing for basketball players. Get that confidence and get that going.
Well, I always talk about mental toughness, and concentration is a big part of that. And I've always emphasized that in my basketball programs and even in my classroom. It's a great skill to have in life, the ability to concentrate on whatever the task is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially nowadays, it seems like we have about 20 things going on all at once. So, and that's no different in a game. We have, the fans and everyone shouting, and you're worried about the refs and your teammates, and just to focus on the moment, get a clean shot off, and be in that zone has got to be huge. So,
yeah, we bring in the boom box. We'll turn up Snoop Dogg to volume 9.
Oh, yeah.
Just to break up practice, make sure our players are concentrating.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, let's. Do you have any other points you want to make before we do the You Make the Call and get a couple of messages from the MHSAA?
No, I think we're all set.
Perfect. So let's do the You Make the Call, if you wouldn't mind. Fantastic. You're awesome.
Okay, Mark, here's a scenario. Question 101 out of the catalog. 8A14 is holding the ball for a designated spot throw-in. A14 attempts a bounce pass to teammate A20. That contacts the floor out of bounds before it is caught by A20 inbounds. What is the call?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Is it A, this is a violation? B, the ball must be passed directly into the playing court? C, A14 may use a bounce pass, but it must cross the boundary line in flight? Or is it all of the above, A, B, and C?
Whew, that's a good one. We'll let you think about that one for just a moment. We'll play a couple messages from the MHSAA. Then we will be right back with the intermission scoreboard report and your answer to the You Make the Call. You're watching Pioneer Men's Varsity Basketball, and it's 21-14 Pioneer at the half.
Where can you find good information on all kinds of topics related to the well-being of our student athletes? Check out the health and safety page of the MHSAA website. Learn about multi-sport participation, heat and hydration, cardiovascular resources, as well as insurance benefits available for our students. It's all on the health and safety page of MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
The love of the game draws us to sports, as players, coaches, spectators, and officials. For officials, it's a way to stay in the game they once played, to feel the thrill of putting on the uniform, stepping out of the playing surface, hustling to make the call, and building the relationships which can only be built in sports. If you still have that love for the game, we always need new officials. Register now at MHSAA.com. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Sportsmanship has never been more important between the lines in athletics and outside those lines in our communities. To listen, to respect, to understand, to practice common decency, to have competition without contentiousness. Sportsmanlike qualities are essential components of life itself. Let's all work together to not only be good sports, but good people. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Have we gotten to the point where at some high school game that an official has finally had enough from coaches, players, and adults, pulls off the whistle, and offers it to you? Let's hope not. There's no way you could do a better job. It's on everyone to promote good sportsmanship. So before you blurt something out about that next close call, consider this. Without the officials, nobody wins. A message from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics.
Let's do a quick little scoreboard report, then we'll get to You Make the Call. Back on February 13th, it was Pioneer beating Huron 54 to 53. It was Skyline beating Dexter 72 to 58. Saline fell as Ypsilanti Lincoln beat Saline 55 to 48, and it was Monroe beating Temperance Bedford 55 to 47. On the 16th, Pioneer beat Dexter 78 to 55. It was Monroe beating Skyline 53 to 42. It was 81 to 48. Saline beating Temperance Bedford, and Ypsilanti Lincoln falling to Huron. Huron beating them 56 to 52. In the 3-1-3 Classic at Warren Lincoln, Pioneer just fell to Ferndale 71 to 70. And on the 19th, it was Pioneer beating Temperance Bedford 79 to 45. Let's get back to the You Make the Call, so we can read that one more time, and we'll see if I can get this right.
Okay, the scenario is A14 is holding the ball for a designated spot throw-in. A14 attempts a bounce pass to A20 that contacts the floor out of bounds before it is caught by A20 inbounds. What is the call? A, this is a violation. B, the ball must be passed directly into the playing court. C, A14 may use a bounce pass, but it must cross the boundary line in flight. Or is it D, all of the above? What do you think, Mark?
You know what? I'm going to go for all the above. I'm going to say that it's a violation, that it must be passed directly into the court, and you can do a bounce pass, but must cross the boundary line. So I'm going to say all of the above.
And would you call that an educated guess?
That is an educated guess. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And that's correct. It is all three of those.
And the officials over talking to you, making sure they all got it right beforehand. So that was great.
Yep.
We love to see that. So that makes sense. And it is interesting when you see someone with occasionally, and you don't see it often, but you see someone doing inbounds on the baseline and they'll run around on the baseline. When is that acceptable to run as opposed to you have to inbound it for a certain spot on the baseline?
After a score.
After a score. Perfect. Gotcha. So you don't see it a lot, but every once in a while you see him running the baseline.
I got
around.
a couple set plays off that. Yes, that's the only time you can.
There you go. Good job.
And actually, what people don't know, now the player can step inside, and that player can actually pass to his teammate that's inbounds.
There you go.
But still, you only have 5 seconds.
Absolutely. Taking it back and bringing it ahead is Zeppa. Zeppa over half court. Pioneer up 21 to 14. Zeppa on the near wing. Into the near corner by Nabozny. Now back over to Johnson. Into the near corner. Zeppa for three. And Zeppa hits it. That is, he has 5 points. It's 21 to 17. Pioneer with the 4-point lead. Now Harrison coming top of the key. And moved over into the near corner. Mutinda. And pulled away by Zeppa. Zeppa bringing it ahead. Zeppa over half court. Zeppa on the far sideline. Gets a screen. Moving over from Loveland. Now into the far corner with it. Nabozny pinned into the far corner. Looking for a place to go. Freisteller making it difficult. And I believe a timeout called by the Monroe staff. They wanted to re-inbound that.
I think it was getting close to a 5-second call, and they didn't want that violation, so coach decided to use a timeout.
Makes perfect sense, as every in a game this low scoring, every possession is huge. You can't have too many wasted possessions with a game like this. 30-second timeout, so Monroe hits back out onto the floor. 7:16 left to go here in the third, 21 to 17. As the inbound, baseline right is Johnson. Johnson now gets it inbounded to Zeppa. Back to Johnson. Johnson works his way around top of the key. Harrison gets to his screen. That ball loose on the ground. Zeppa gets it. Zeppa just inside of half court. Over on the far sideline. Over to Simmons. Simmons back to Johnson. Johnson dishes it off over on the near wing to Loveland. Back On the far sideline, Zeppa underneath to Simmons. Simmons in the far side of the paint, pulled down by Sampa. Sampa brings it the other direction. Pioneer with the 24-17 lead. Sampa into the far corner. Harrison gets it back over to Freisteller. Freisteller down the baseline. Finger roll wouldn't go. That rebounded by Nabozny. Here comes Monroe the other direction, down by 4. Over half court is Loveland. Loveland being watched by Freisteller. Loveland on the far sideline moves that over to Nabozny. Now Zeppa over on the near wing to Johnson. Johnson top of the key. Johnson coming down the near side of the paint. Now over on the far wing, Loveland back into the far corner. Hand off, coming down the baseline and out of bounds. That will be Pioneers' ball as Zeppa trying to go down the baseline. He's limping a little bit. That would not be a good thing for Monroe as he has been a definite spark plug. Bringing ahead, Sampa has it. Pioneer up by 4, 6:08 left to go. Sampa on the far sideline, gets it over to Mutinda. Mutinda over to Powell. Powell back over to Freisteller. Now Sampa on the far sideline. 5:59 left to go. Sampa top of the key. Sampa bounce pass into Mutinda, up and in. With a whistle, Mutinda with 3 points. Opportunity to make it a 3-point play.
Pioneer displayed very good patience in that offense, and Mutinda worked to get open. The entry pass was made. Now that opportunity for 3.
Johnson picks up his third. Mutinda puts it up. That rims out. Grabbed down by Nabozny. Coming ahead with it. Here comes Monroe over half court. 23-17. Pioneer with the lead. And moved over by Nabozny. Stolen away by Freisteller. Freisteller over to Sampa. Sampa ahead for Pioneer. Now Freisteller top of the key. Back to Sampa. Sampa calling out signals. Sampa on the near wing. Bounce pass to Mutinda on the baseline. He's double teamed. Gets it back over to Freisteller on the near wing. Freisteller screen from Mutinda. Now over into the far corner for Powell. Harrison has it top of the key. Sampa for 3. That, rims out. Looked like it was going down, but popped right out. Here comes Monroe the other direction. As both offenses struggling a little bit, 23-17. Now coming down on the far sideline over to Johnson for Monroe, racing down Simmons. Puts up the finger roll, that wouldn't go. Freisteller with the rebound, ahead to Sampa. Sampa over to Powell. Powell up into the paint, off glass and in. Powell with 4 points, and it's 25-17. 8-point lead for Pioneer. Zeppa brings it ahead for Monroe. Zeppa over half court with 5:45 left to go, or 4:45 left to go. Johnson top of the key, comes over on the near wing. Johnson into the paint. There's a whistle. That is going to be Powell with the foul. Powell picks up his second foul. 4 minutes, 40 seconds left to go. Monroe to inbound baseline left. As looking to get it in, Johnson moves it over to Loveland. Loveland comes back just on the near sideline. Loveland on the near wing, working against Sampa. Gets it over to Johnson. Johnson just on the blockades. Johnson, top of the key. Now Johnson over on the far wing. Johnson down the far side of the paint, taken away by Harrison. Harrison races the other direction. Harrison down the far side of the paint, puts it up off glass, wouldn't go. Whistle underneath. 4:18 left to go. Loveland picks up his first foul. 2 fouls on Pioneer, 2 fouls on Monroe this half. Put up by Harrison. That rattles around and in. Second one by Harrison, up and good. 4:18 left to go here in the third. 27-17, 10-point lead by Pioneer. Loveland gets it back over to Johnson. Now back over to Loveland from Monroe on the far sideline. Over half court, bounce pass over to Nabozny. Nabozny double team, trying to work his way out of it into the near corner. There's a 3-pointer by Johnson. That falls just short. As good Mutinda with the rebound. Sampa ahead with it. Sampa right on the near wing for Pioneer. 27-17. Pioneer with the 10-point lead. Freisteller on the near wing. Into the near corner for Harrison. Harrison works his way around the arc. Harrison, top of the key. Over to Freisteller. Freisteller gets it back to Powell. Powell down the far sideline. As that waved off. Foul there. Zeppa picks up the foul. That is his first foul. 27-17, Pioneer with the ball. Powell for three, right on the inbound, and Powell has it. He has 7 points. As bringing it ahead, Pioneer 30, Monroe 17. Timeout by Monroe. They want to talk it over. As Pioneer has been on a bit of a run. They have scored 7 since the end of the first half, and Monroe has scored 3. What are your thoughts going about that so far this third quarter there, Coach?
Well, I'd like to see Pioneer get it out and run that was available a couple times. One time it turned into a layup, and get this point spread a little bit more going into the fourth. But again, every possession is very important. Every free throw is going to be important for both teams the rest of the way out here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a really good defensive battle. I think. Holding a team to 17 points when you're over halfway through the third is just outstanding, and really 30 points is no slouch for a team. So it's been a really good defensive battle. Good battle in the paint. A couple timely three-point shots as here comes Pioneer out as they have Harrison, Sampa, Freisteller, Powell, and Mutinda out there. Inbounded, Johnson has it for Monroe. And ball passed over on the far sideline for Zeppa. Zeppa spins with it. Zeppa now works his way right at the blockade. Zeppa bounce pass to the free throw line. Down. Johnson trying to put it up as he gets it knocked off of a player, puts it in. Johnson now has 8 points, quickly the other direction. Pioneer, as that will be a whistle underneath. Monroe ball as they have it coming down the far sideline. Zeppa over half court. Zeppa coming down into the far corner. Zeppa bounce pass over on the far sideline as that's Robinson with it. That shot pulled down by Mutinda. Here comes Sampa the other direction. Sampa over half court. Sampa on the near wing, gets a screen, works his way onto the far wing. Sampa, another screen from Mutinda, gets it over to Freisteller. Freisteller into the near corner for Powell. Powell back. Sampa over to Harrison in the far corner. Harrison into the paint, puts it up, off and in, off glass and in.
That's a big bucket. He attacked the rim strong, went up strong. There was defense there, and he finished.
Big time bucket by Harrison. Chance to make it a three-point play. 2:29 left to go here in the third. Harrison spins the ball, dribbles, puts it up, and off near to the side, pulled down. Simmons gets it over to Johnson. Johnson ahead on the near wing. Monroe with the ball. Loveland coming down the baseline. Puts up a floater. That rims off. Out the front of the rim, coming ahead. Here comes Sampa for Pioneer. Sampa gets a screen from Mutinda on the near wing. Sampa working against Simmons. Sampa now comes to the free throw line. Over to Freisteller. Freisteller thought about it now. Works his way to the paint. Bounce pass to Harrison. Harrison traveling called. That will go over to Monroe. 2:01 left to go. 32-19. Pioneer with the 13-point lead. Johnson inbound, baseline on the near baseline. Brought over, near sideline, Johnson over midcourt. Johnson, double team, gets it over to Loveland. Loveland hands it off to Zeppa. Zeppa fires a jump shot that pulled down by Freisteller. 1:47 left to go here in the third. Freisteller for Pioneer, over half court, over to Sampa. Sampa comes to the free throw line, down the far side of the paint. Sampa, finger roll up and in. Sampa with his first points of the game, 34-19. Pioneer with the lead, 1:33 left to go before the fourth quarter, bringing it ahead as Strauss and Harrison with the double team. As Monroe had it, Loveland with it, stolen by Sampa, but a whistle beforehand. We'll see who this goes on. Harrison picks up his second foul, 1:24 left to go. Monroe, the inbound, 3 fouls on Pioneer, 4 on Monroe. As Loveland has it in the backcourt. If he had gotten the ball in the backcourt, he would have been fine, but he dribbled from the front court to the backcourt. That's over and back, and that's Pioneers' ball. 1:23 left to go. That inbounded to Sampa. Pioneer with it. Sampa gets it over to Freisteller, top of the key. Freisteller coming down the near side of the paint. He puts it up, wouldn't go off glass, but a foul underneath. And looks like that is going to be on Simmons, I believe. Simmons picks up his first foul. Freisteller to the line, shooting two. First one up off the back of the rim. Wouldn't go for Freisteller. One more coming. 1:16 left to go. Freisteller puts it up and in. Freisteller now has 8 points, and it's 35-19. Pioneer with the lead. Over to Johnson. Johnson over to Zeppa. Zeppa for Monroe. Into the near corner for Johnson. Now into the paint for Simmons. There's a shot by Nabozny off the side of the rim. Pulled down by Strauss. Here comes Sampa for Pioneer. Over half court. Less than a minute left. 56 seconds. Harrison right to the basket. Wouldn't go off the side of the rim. Pioneer gets the rebound. That tipped away. All the way back as Zeppa has it down the paint. Waits and puts it up and in. Good patience by Zeppa as Powell was following him, and he waited for Powell to go by. Otherwise, that might have been blocked from behind. 36 seconds left to go. Sampa has it for Pioneer. 35-21 for as that at the far elbow. Over into the far corner for Freisteller. Sampa with it. Screen by Strauss. Now Sampa comes to the free throw line. Sampa dishes it back off. Freisteller thought about it. Now back to the baseline. Up off glass. Wouldn't go. Stolen away by Strauss. Now Freisteller trying to get it. Pulled down by Loveland. 12 seconds left to go. Tip back. Loveland has it in the backcourt. Freisteller watching him. Now into the far corner. Johnson dribbles in. Takes the shot. And with 2 seconds left to go, that will do it for the third. 35-21. As Pioneer with the 14-point lead, they're pulling away a little bit more and more each period.
Sampa's doing a very good job quarterbacking the team offensively. He's giving his team time to set up the offense and execute what they want to get. And I think that's been the key for their offense.
Absolutely.
Defensively, again, both teams are pretty well. I think, I know Pioneers had 8 points that quarter in the paint, and Monroe had 6. And this is always a debatable stat, but like Freisteller shot in the paint, got 2 free throws.
Yeah.
Some coaches would count those 2 free throws as in the paint points.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'm not sure. Where do you fall on that? Do you count that, or do you count that as from the line?
I don't. But I would not rule it out in the future.
Yeah, I get that, absolutely.
It's a 15-foot shot, but you got there in the first place because you shot.
Because you were in the paint.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Possession favors Pioneer coming into the fourth, 35-21. Strauss to inbound. One of the many seniors, 7 seniors on this team. Lage, Strauss, Mutinda, Sampa, Freisteller, Treat, and Lyle. Sampa brings it over midcourt. Sampa over to Strauss on the far sideline. Strauss over to Lyle, top of the key. Now gets it over to Powell, and there is a whistle. Mutinda picks up the foul. That is his second. Monroe to inbound. Pioneer with full court pressure. Johnson to inbound, gets it into Simmons. Simmons all the way on the far sideline to Collette. Back to Simmons. Now Johnson. Back to Simmons. Collette gets over midcourt on the far sideline into the far corner. And rocketed over to Simmons in the paint. Up, and that rims out. Simmons gets his own rebound. That off the rim. Whistle underneath. 7:34 left to go here in the fourth. Powell picks up his third foul. First foul of the quarter. No, second foul of the quarter, so they say up on the board. That will be Simmons to the line. Simmons bends the knees, puts it up, and rattles around. Wouldn't go for Simmons. Bounce pass. Simmons again, bends the knees. puts it up. That one is in. Simmons with 3 points. Pioneer with the ball. Sampa brings it ahead. 35-22. Pioneer with the lead. Strauss over to Lyle on the near wing. Lyle dishes it off to Powell, and there's a foul before the shot. 7:23 left to go. Or was it... the official talking to Coach Marion. I don't know if he is getting attacked. It looks like Coach Marion got attacked on that. Not sure what the original foul still was, trying to get that. But Johnson to the line. Johnson puts it up and in. No. So Strauss picks up the foul. That is his first. Second shot on the technical coming. At off the back of the rim. 35-23. Johnson inbound right in front of us. Powell wiping his shoes. Johnson bounce pass over to Zeppa. Zeppa on the near wing. Bounce pass into the near corner for Johnson. Johnson works his way around the arc, into the paint, puts it up, and puts it in. Johnson with a nice little hook. He has 11 points, 35-25. Quickly the other direction. Mutinda puts it in. As Mutinda has 5 points, 37-25. Monroe with it. Johnson, top of the key, moves over onto the near wing. Now over to Simmons on the baseline. Mutinda watching him. Bounce pass into the paint. That put up by Collette and in. Collette has 3 points, and it's a 10-point game, 37-27. Hand off to Lyle. Pioneer with the ball. Top of the key. Lyle on the near wing. Lyle watched by Zeppa. Gets it into Mutinda. Mutinda into the paint. Spinning. Puts it up and in. Mutinda with 7 points. 39-27. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe with the ball. As they move it over, Zeppa, double team Zeppa, launches it, trying to get it to Collette. That will go out of bounds, just a little high, and that will be Pioneer ball. And Strauss will inbound right in front of the Monroe bench, 6:23 left to go. 39-27, Sampa with the ball for Pioneer over half court. Pioneer with the lead. 4 fouls on Pioneer. The next one puts Monroe to the line. Over on the near wing, Powell with it. Powell over to Strauss. Now Sampa trying to get it in. That tip, but Powell gets it back over to Sampa. Sampa on the near wing. Sampa over to Strauss. Now into the near corner. Lyle with it. Back to Strauss, top of the key. Strauss on the near wing. Back to Lyle in the near corner. Trying to get it to Mutinda. Whistle underneath. That is going to be Collette. That is his 3rd foul. First on Monroe this quarter. Pioneer to inbound baseline right. Is that ball in? Powell from 3. That pulled down by Mutinda in the paint. Mutinda puts it up off the rim. Wouldn't go. Mutinda gets it back. Puts it up and in. And nothing but net on that one. 9 points for Mutinda. 41-27. Pioneer with the lead. Monroe with the ball. Full court pressure by Pioneer. Strauss ends up trying to grab the ball. Whistle. Jump ball, possession, 0 points, Monroe's way. 5:32 left to go here in the 4th. That launched in. Collette has it. Collette just off the top of the key over on the far sideline to Zeppa. Zeppa trying to work his way around Lyle. Zeppa hands it off to Johnson. Johnson, top of the key. There is a moving screen. Simmons gets called for it. That is going to be 2 fouls on Simmons. 5:21 left to go. 41-27. Sampa brings it ahead. Sampa comes over half court. Sampa over to Strauss on the far sideline. Pioneer with the ball and the 41-27 lead. Mutinda down the paint. Puts it up. Rolls around the rim and in. Mutinda with 11 points. He has the game high tie with Johnson ahead. Monroe Moves over on the far sideline. Johnson trying to get it underneath to Colette, and they're going to call Mutinda for the bump underneath. Mutinda has 3 fouls. That is the 5th foul on Pioneer in this quarter. That is going to put Monroe to the line with all the remaining fouls. Colette dribbles the ball, puts it up, puts it in. Colette with 4 points, trying to make it 5. Freisteller in, gives Powell a breather for Pioneer. Colette spins the ball, bends the knees, eyes the rim, puts it up. And it rattles around, falls off to the far side. Freisteller with it. Freisteller over to Sampa. Pioneer with the 43 to 28 lead. Sampa, top of the key, gets it over to Strauss on the far wing. Strauss now over to Lyle. Lyle works his way. Lyle over to Strauss in the far corner. Bounce pass over to Mutinda. Up and in. Mutinda has 13 points. He has the game high, 45 to 28. Pioneer with the lead, 4:29 left to go. Stolen away by Freisteller, who puts it up. He's fouled underneath the basket as everyone, Lyle and Strauss race over to help him up. Johnson with his 4th foul.
Mutinda's having a great second half.
Absolutely he is.
So far in this half, he's got 12 points.
That is outstanding. He had one point coming into this half, and 13 now. That's outstanding. He has really been feeling it. They're trying to get it into the paint there.
He also has 7 rebounds, so a double-double is not out of reach.
Absolutely. 4:24 left to go. Well, when you have a lead like this, what are you saying in the huddle just to try and keep it going? Be careful with the ball, watch the turnovers, or what are you telling the team to try and coast here in the remaining 4 minutes and 24 seconds?
Take care of the ball.
Yep.
You know, those possessions are important, and got to get some stops. It's not always one at the offensive end.
Yep.
We gotta slow down and stop, and we don't want Monroe to score in the paint. No, give me 100%. Tired, get your hand up. I'll get some fresh legs in.
You just don't want to give Monroe any momentum to try and make a big comeback here. Freisteller to the line. Monroe comes out. So for Pioneer, it's Lyle, Sampa, Freisteller, Strauss, and Mutinda. On the other side, it is Zeppa along with Colette, Johnson, first one up by Freisteller off the front of the rim. Simmons and McQuaid out there for Monroe. One more coming for Freisteller, trying to make it a 46. And Freisteller up off the front of the rim. And pulled down by Strauss. Up, wouldn't go. Simmons with the rebound. And I think they're going to say he went out of bounds. Is that Pioneer ball? I believe so. Sampa to inbound, baseline right. As they're making sure that it isn't wet there. Underneath the basket, Sampa to inbound. Sampa skies it all the way out to Mutinda, top of the key. Mutinda inside paint, puts it up and in. Mutinda continuing his amazing second half. He now has 15 points, 14 of them in the second half. Zeppa over half court. Here comes Monroe. Down, McQuaid puts it up. That wouldn't go. A little too strong. Sampa the other direction. As Mutinda into the paint, puts it up. There's a foul underneath. Pioneer trying to add. They have 47. Monroe 28, 19-point lead.
Well, that was a good move by Mutinda. He's driving down the middle of the floor. He had a big stretch out step, which you want. Great ball and head fake. Took the defender away. Just couldn't finish on the shot.
Mutinda puts it in. 16 points for him. It is now a 20-point lead for Pioneer. Loveland back in. for Monroe. Treat coming in for Pioneer. Mutinda now has 17 points. Mutinda goes out with a game-high 17 points. Treat in for Mutinda. 3:58 left to go. Pioneer with the 21-point lead. Monroe with the ball. Zeppa gets it back over to Loveland. Loveland just inside of half court. Over to Zeppa, stolen away by Treat. Treat down on the far side of the paint. Up off glass, wouldn't go. Put in by Strauss. Put in by Strauss and tipped by Zeppa. Almost want to give them each a point. 3:37 left to go. Monroe with the ball as Collett gets it over to Zeppa. Zeppa cross-court pass in along the far sideline. Johnson back to Zeppa. Pioneer up 51-28. 3:23 left to go as Collett on the near wing. Gets it over to Johnson, top of the key. Johnson over on the far side, down the paint, down the baseline. Zeppa with it. That pulled down off the rim. Here comes Strauss. Strauss over to Sampa. Sampa into the paint. Pulled away. Now back to Freisteller, who puts up the three. That rims out. Grabbed down by Zeppa. 3 minutes left to go here in the fourth. 51-28. Pioneer with the lead. Zeppa over half court. Over to Nabozny on the far sideline. Back to Johnson. Johnson comes top of the key for Monroe. Into the near corner. Zeppa for three. And off the both sides of the rim. Out of bounds. Was able to hold it in Monroe, but that pulled by Strauss. Ahead to Lyle. Pioneer with the ball. And little miscommunication as that'll go out of bounds. That'll be Monroe ball. 2:37 left to go. Strauss comes out. Lee in. Strauss and Lyle get a good round of applause as they're working with a couple towels down there. They need that little buffer on the stick that they have in the NBA there to Nabozny gets it in the backcourt. Loveland now coming up with it. Loveland over to Johnson. Johnson not dribbling it up. Back over to Loveland. Loveland bringing it ahead. Loveland over half court. Now over that put up and off the back of the rim by Collette. Pulled down by Sampa. 2:18 left to go here in the fourth. Sampa with it. Well, Monroe is taking some quick shots. Freisteller with it. Freisteller into the paint. Freisteller bounce pass underneath. Lee puts it up and in. Lee with his first points of the game. And a very good game on the JV game. 53-28. Pioneer with the lead. Johnson for Monroe. Dishes off. There's McQuaid for three. That wouldn't go. Ball grabbed and trying to keep it in. That grab by Monroe. Nabozny puts it up and Nabozny puts it in. As Pioneer had it, but off balance underneath. Tried to knock it off a Monroe player, but they were wise and stole it and put it up. Lage in as well as Karsh. So Sampa goes out as well as Freisteller. So you have Treat, Lee, Lage, Harrison, and Karsh out there. Out there for Monroe. Harville out there as well as Nabozny. Overstreet in now. Loveland and McQuaid. Now Harrison over half court. 1 minute 40 seconds left. Pioneer 53 and Monroe 30. Karsh on the far wing. Karsh top of the key. Over to Treat. Treat dribbles down the paint. Treat spins, puts it up off glass. Little too strong. Lee trying to get to it. Harrison gets it all the way out to Karsh. Karsh trying to hold it in. Then intercepted. Karsh gets it back. Moving it over to Harrison, but that pulled away. Here comes Nabozny. Nabozny bringing it ahead for Monroe. Down the paint, puts it up and in. And I don't know if that, I don't think that'll count. I think the foul was well beforehand. Oh, wow, okay, basket is good by Nabozny. They'll call that a continuation. McVicker and Robertson for Pioneer. Lage and Treat get a nice round of applause as they leave. Harrison out. As the ball up and in by Nabozny. So Nabozny now has 5 points. Pioneer brings it ahead. Karsh has it. Karsh, top of the key, moves it over. McVicker into the paint. McVicker stops. That's going to be a travel. Is his foot slid? That's going to be over Monroe. 20-point lead by Pioneer, 53-33. 1:04 left to go. Loveland gets it into Overstreet. Overstreet coming ahead. He played a lot in the JV game. Overstreet over midcourt. Overstreet comes over onto the near wing for Monroe. Overstreet trying to get down. That tip by Karsh. As out of bounds. That is going to be Monroe ball. 53.1 seconds left to go. Harville to inbound it. Harville gets it over on the far sideline. Overstreet trying to come in. There's a whistle and a foul with 50.1 seconds left to go. Rink picks up the foul. That is his first. Overstreet in the game, or Overstreet to the line, puts it up off the rim, wouldn't go. Overstreet trying to get it underneath a 20-point lead for Pioneer. Trying to get it down to the teens. Overstreet puts it up and in. Overstreet with his first point of the game, 19-point lead for Pioneer. Karsh brings it in. Over midcourt, Karsh. Top of the key, now coming over onto the far wing. Hands it off to Rink. Rink coming into the paint. Rink tipped away, bounce pass. And that will go, Gary him. And will go out of bounds. 34.5 seconds left to go. As Loveland hands it over to Overstreet. Overstreet over midcourt. Rink picks him up there. Overstreet for Monroe. Over to Nabosny. Nabosny down into the paint. Puts it up. That blocked by Lee. Lee does a good job to hold on to the ball. Brings it ahead. Lee over half court. Lee. Top of the key. Lee spins with it. Lee picks up the dribble. Over to McVicker. McVicker into the paint. McVicker. Left-handed hook up and in. As McVicker with his first points. 55-34. Monroe with the ball. 3 seconds left to go. Overstreet with it. Picks up the dribble. Puts it off, and that will do it. Final score, 55-34. Pioneer with the 21-point lead. As your top scores, Pioneer score 17 for Mutinda, 9 for Strauss, 2 for McVicker, 2 for Lage, 2 for Lee, 2 for Sampa, 8 for Freisteller, 7 for Powell, 4 for Harrison, and 2 for Lyle. On the other side, it was Johnson leading the way with 11 points, 3 for Simmons, 5 for Nabosny, 7 for Zeppa, 3 for McQuaid, 1 for Overstreet, and 4 for Colette. What are your final thoughts on that game, Coach?
Well, a good game. The game was better than the final score indicated, I thought.
Indeed.
You know, and let's talk about Monroe first for a minute. Johnson, you mentioned, had 11 points, and he's a little under his average of 17, so those 6 points, I'm sure, were missed. Got to keep in mind Monroe had a short bench tonight with 3 players out. And probably the bottom line, Pioneer is just one of those teams that is tough to defend because they can hurt you inside and outside.
Absolutely.
So you have to defend. Whether they're cold or hot, you still have to defend all 5 positions. And I don't have the offensive rebounds, but I got to think Monroe's offensive rebounds was a little low. A lot of times they just got one shot, and Pioneer was headed to the other end.
Sure.
What a great half by Matinda. And
oh, absolutely.
17 points is what you had?
17 points total, 16 points in the second half.
Yeah,
that's outstanding.
This is one of those games you got to recognize. This was a true team effort. You know, you're starting a different lineup. You're trying to get some people minutes that you don't usually do. And the starters and the bench all contributed in one way or another.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And, it was a well-coached game with a good game plan coming into tonight's contest. So, yeah, I was impressed with both teams. And now we're going into district, huh?
Yeah, one more game. Pioneer will be on the road at Arbor Prep. That will be 2 days from now. 11-9 Arbor Prep versus 15-5 Pioneer. That's a 7 p.m. game. Then they are into districts. That will be on the 28th of February. They will play the winner of Jackson Skyline on February 28th. That will be 7 p.m. at Huron.
Okay, great. Let's go toe-to-toe real quick, Mark, and thanks to Kim Ahrens for doing an excellent job with our stats tonight. I did get that rebound number I wanted, and it is what I expected. Pioneer out-rebounded Monroe tonight, 31-18. At the line, Pioneer made 11 out of 18, and Monroe was 6 out of 11. Total turnovers, Monroe 11, Pioneer 9. And here's another big number in the paint points, 36 for Pioneer, more than half. And Monroe scored 22 in the paint, and both teams just knocked down 2 3-point field goals each.
So we appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, both Coach and I follow Eastern Michigan. They're down 52-45 to Buffalo right now, so hopefully they'll make a big comeback.
But they knocked off Bowling Green Saturday.
They did. You got to love that. So thanks to my camera person, Christina Wiseman, Coach Ahrens and Kim Ahrens doing an amazing job on stats. My name is Mark Wiseman. Thank you very much. We'll be back with an audio-only broadcast of the Pioneer men's playoff hockey game tomorrow versus Saline. That from Brighton. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening and good night.